To say that when a woman does it, you think she's nuts, but when God does it, it's okay. You're just being inconsistent.
I would like to bypass this senseless debate altogether and jump to the conclusion, which every sophomore is already aware of: there is no God. All that I require from each of you is that you fill in the papers I've just given you with 3 little words: God is dead.
I can't do what you want. I'm a Christian.
Allow me to explain the alternative. If you cannot bring yourself to admit that God is dead for the purposes of this class, then you will need to defend the antithesis, that God is not dead, and you'll need to do it in front of this class from the podium. And if you fail, as you shall, you will fail this section and lose 30% of your final grade.
The only difference between your position and my position is that you take away their choice. You demand that they choose the box marked "I don't believe."
Yes, because I want to free them. Because religion is like it's like a mind virus that parents have passed on down to their children. And Christianity is the worst virus of all. It slowly creeps into our lives when we're weak or sick or helpless.
So religion is like a disease?
Yes. Yes, it infects everything. It's the enemy of reason.
Reason? Professor, you left reason a long time ago. What you're teaching here isn't philosophy. It's not even atheism anymore. What you're teaching is anti-theism. It's not enough that you don't believe. You need all of us to not believe with you.
Why don't you admit the truth? You just want to ensnare them in your primitive superstition.
What I want is for them to make their own choice. That's what God wants.
You have no idea how much I'm going to enjoy failing you.
The only difference between your position and my position is that you take away their choice. You demand that they choose the box marked "I believe."
Because I want to free them. Because sin, it's like a mind virus that parents have passed on down to their children. And
disbelief
is the worst virus of all. It slowly creeps into our lives when we're weak or sick or helpless.
So
sin
is like a disease?
Yes. Yes, it infects everything. It's the enemy of reason.
Reason? Professor, you left reason a long time ago. What you're teaching here isn't
grace.
It's not even
justice
anymore. What you're teaching is
eternal conscious torment.
It's not enough that you believe. You need all of us to believe with you.
Why don't you admit the truth? You just want to ensnare them in your primitive superstition.
What I want is for them to make their own choice. That's what atheists want.
You have no idea how much I'm going to enjoy failing you.
Notice the manifestation of God's glory in 2 ways. The glory of his mercy and the eternal salvation of the elect, and of his justice and the eternal damnation of the reprobate.
When I die, what do you think happens to me if I reject Christianity?
People who are not saved are damned. They go to hell.
And what is hell? What's your idea of hell?
It is a place of suffering. It's a state of suffering of souls that are not saved.
Forever or for just a time?
Forever.
What would you think of a woman who is very beautiful, approaches you one day and says, I tell you, if you marry me, I tell you, you will have a wonderful life. Not only am I beautiful, but I'm a smart woman. You just will have a fantastic life. And she says, then she goes on to say, but if you don't marry me, you will suffer badly. What would you think of such a woman who would talk like that?
She has, well, she's got no right to treat you like that, does she? She's just another person.
But what would you think of her character? What would you think? A woman who says, you know, be with me and you will have bliss, paradise. Don't be with me and you will suffer greatly.
She's very arrogant. She's got a very self-centered view of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even psychotic.
Maybe.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But when God does it, he's not crazy or psychotic or arrogant?
Well, no, because God actually is the center of things. The problem that we have when we deal with people who behave in an arrogant way is that they're above their status. They're acting as if they are more than they are. But God is the highest being, So no, I don't think there is that problem.
But God's approaching me and says, Doug, I have done so much for you. I have died for you. Accept the gift of salvation, and I tell you, you'll have eternity and bliss, paradise. You will have a wonderful time forever and ever. But you reject me, and you die rejecting me, you will suffer forever. How is that different than the woman?
Because God actually is the supreme good. The woman is not.
So God's special.
Yeah, God is very, very different from an ordinary woman.
To say that when a woman does it, you think she's nuts. But when God does it, it's okay because he's special, because he's the supreme being. I think you can at least admit from an outsider's point of view that you're just being inconsistent.
I want to make this clear. In that classroom, there is a God, and yet I'm him.